Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we're trying a different camera angle, but we're also going to do a light novel review. Today we're going to be reviewing Kizumonogatari by Nishio Isen. This is also referred to as The Wound Tale. It's published by Vertical, as you guys can see right there. It's urban fantasy, slice of life-y kind of, and fantasy in general, I guess. Like, I couldn't actually find anywhere that tells me what genre it is, so I just kind of picked the ones that I kind of feel fit the most. So if I'm wrong, or if you guys know exactly what the genres are, please let me know down in the comments. I would really appreciate it. This has an adaptation. I think it's a total of 3 films. Each of them has a different name, but they're all under Kizumonogatari and then something else. So it's the prequel to Bakemonogatari, the Monster Tale, if I remember correctly. Basically, it talks about, or it deals with Araragi, this kind of neat, unhappy kind of guy who meets a vampire through circumstances out of his control. He becomes one and has to help her heal, basically. And through that, he kind of goes on a self-discovery type of journey. They kind of play it off as a joke. It's like a running gag. But it kind of really sums up what happens to Araragi pretty well. So the plot line here is pretty good. It starts out really slow. It kind of takes 200 pages. Well, it doesn't take 200 pages. It takes about 50 to 60 pages to start to get interesting. And then at the 200 page mark, you're really invested. And then from there, it just picks up really fast and it ends. And you really enjoy it by the end of it. Like, the whole journey was a little rough at the beginning, but by the end of it, you're really happy with how it went. And I thought it was interesting. I don't know if it was actually slow or if it was just my reading pace, because Nishio Isen is a very rambly, conversational type of storyteller. And so he'll like tell you the story and then kind of diverge or go on a tangent, then come back, and it feels very slow going. But once you get used to that, it kind of picks up and you're basically done with the book really fast. The book covers Araragi's spring break, essentially, which is 2 weeks. In Japan, I think this is like the equivalent of the American summer break, like between the end of one school year and the beginning of the next. Not exactly sure, but basically in this span, he makes his first friend, hears a rumor about a vampire, finds said vampire, sees that she's essentially dying, decides to help her, expecting to die, and then he doesn't. And then he's told he has to battle these men in order to return to the vampire what she has lost. And then it picks up from there. And you have this journey of self-discovery that I mentioned in the premise that was really interesting, and it's kind of a very moral type of story. It ends up talking about, like, you know, like duty to one person as opposed to duty to hundreds of people. Kind of, it's like, do you save this one person even though saving them can lead to the death of these hundreds of people, or do you save these hundreds of people by killing this one person, or like by letting this person die, kind of. And I thought it was interesting. It actually had a lot of depth once I finished it and I like thought about it, but while you're reading it, it doesn't feel like that at all. So it was interesting. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Was a little difficult to read though, like just at the beginning. Once I got used to Nishio Isen's writing, it was smooth sailing, but that took a while. And I'm sure once I get to Bakemonogatari, I'll have the same problem early on, but then it'll go away much faster. So I'm excited to get to it. The characters here are interesting. There's basically 4 main characters and then 3 secondary characters. Well, it's more like 2 main characters, 2 secondary characters, and then 3 tertiary characters, which are the villains in this case. So we have Araragi and Kishot. Those 2 are the main characters. Then we have Tsubake and Oshino. And then the bad guys are the 3 vampire hunters. who are basically not important at all, but they're relevant because they're the antagonists. And so yeah, so Araragi is this like self-centered, solitary, lonely kind of guy, but he's not lonely because he chooses to be alone because his intensity is a human being or whatever. But it's basically just him coming up with excuses for himself so that he doesn't feel alone. And then we have Kiss Shot, who is slightly over the top vampire, and she doesn't see humans as people but as food, and her relationship with basically every character is like one that a human has with a pet or like a dog or like a cow. It's like, oh, you're so cute and stuff, but like you're not at the same level as me. And it's interesting, but she also has a lot of respect for Araragi in a weird kind of twisted way, and I really enjoy how they interact. Then we have Tsubake, who's like this weird self-sacrificing kind of character, but she's not self-sacrificing for the sake of it. She's more like doing what she does because she wants to do it for some reason. I'm not really sure why that is. We never understand exactly why, but she is Araragi's first friend, and she is a very meaningful emotional help for him, but she's really off-putting. Like, you don't know why she does the things she does. And then we have Oshino, who is kind of the same. He is this weird mediator slash like arbiter kind of person whose whole role is to balance things, as he tells it. And he doesn't help anyone specifically, but he does things that they benefit one group of people in order to make it fair for whatever reason. But it's not clear why he does the things he does again, and it's interesting, but he's not as fun as Tsubake, in my opinion, because he's like this weird sleazy guy, and I don't like enjoy that type of character, but that's just me. And then the antagonist are the three vampire hunters, which are Dramaturgy, Episode, and Guillotine Cutter, which have horrible names. Kiss Shot has a horrible name too, but yeah, they have horrible names, and they're not that meaningful. Like, there's something that you could read into about how they are as individuals. Like, one of them is just there because he needs to be. One of them is there for revenge, and the other one is there for religious duty. And because they all have different motivations, they stand for different things, but it's very surface level. I would have to read it again in order to kind of get where it's going. But yeah, they're just not very great. One of them is a vampire that hunts vampires. One of them is a half vampire, and the other one is like the archbishop of this specific church that's tasked with destroying aberrations or like monsters, basically. So yeah, they're interesting, but they're I don't know, not very fleshed out. They're just there so that Araragi can fight someone. The world building's not that bad. We don't know much, but we do talk about vampire lore. We talk a little bit about what aberrations are and how vampires work. We mentioned that weird religion with Guillotine Cutter. And that's kind of basically it. Other than that, it's just like normal Japan, kind of. So it was interesting, but it wasn't much. And then after that, we have art. And the art here is beautiful. Although there's one problem, and it's that there's not much of it. Like, we have the cover, which is lovely, like all the way through the back. There we go, that's Kiss Shot. We have this image, which is also Kiss Shot. And then we have one more image, this one. And then that's it. That's all we have, which is kind of sad. I would have liked it if we had more. I would have liked to see some scenes from the book. I would have liked to see how Tsubake is drawn. I would have liked to see some of the stuff that happens during the battles. But given that it's so beautiful, I'm fine with it not being a lot, so it's okay. And there's some fan service, and usually if it was written, I would just say that it's there, but it's not very meaningful because you're just imagining it. That's kind of dependent on your personal imagination. But here, we kind of go really into it. Nisio Isin takes his time kind of talking about and describing what's happening. It's not really all that crazy. It's just the weird intensity of it is a little off-putting. I'm okay with it. I think in the anime, it might even be funny. But if you're not a fan of it, I would say that it's not good. You could just kind of skip those parts if you wanted to read the story regardless. But yeah, it's not much. There's like a little bit at the beginning and a little bit near the end, and that's kind of it. And so my rating of this book is a 4 out of 5 or an 8 out of 10. I thought it was good, but just because of Nisio Isin's writing style and the fact that I took a long time to get used to it, I can't give it a 5, even though I was really happy with the end result of the book, because it was unnecessarily difficult to read. If you guys want to let me know what you thought about it, please let me know in the comments. Just share with me your thoughts. And yeah, so I recommend this book if you're interested. I haven't seen the anime, so I don't know if it's just all that similar. But the book is good. The build quality of the book is amazing. The reading experience is pretty fun. And once you get over that initial hurdle of getting used to Nisio Isin's writing, it's very smooth sailing and enjoyable for the rest of the time. And I can't really think of any similar titles, but yeah. So that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you guys could hit me with a like, a subscribe, and a comment, that'd be super awesome. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you guys very much. See you guys later.